Hello friends, acquaintances, and enemies of all ages. My name is Combat Bird, and for today's Year of Kirby video, we'll be going over what I consider to be a major turning point for the series. Kirby Superstar for the Super Nintendo. Getting tired of Kirby yet? Don't answer that. I know what your answer is, and I agree. It's impossible to be tired of Kirby. And with that in mind, let's get into it. Kirby Superstar is the second Kirby game to be released on the Super Nintendo, but unlike the crayon-drawn art style of its counterpart, we instead have the Kirby art style that we've come to know and love today. In fact, you'll find that tends to be the case with a lot of things from this game. It sets the standard for future games in more ways than one. Now, this doesn't mean that Kirby Superstar didn't take some risks with its gameplay. Immediately into the game, you'll notice the first major difference. Instead of the traditional story mode hub world that we kind of expect from Kirby games, we're instead shown this menu showing a total of 6 different games and 2 more to be unlocked. That's right, this game was advertised as 8 games in 1, when really, that's not quite the case, but we'll get there. Let's start off with the first mode, known as Spring Breeze. Spring Breeze is actually a pseudo-remake of the original Kirby's Dream Land, where you must fight your way through King Dedede's baddies before you inevitably face the big penguin himself. Since this is what I would argue to be the most traditional of the game modes, now would be a good time to go over some of the big gameplay changes that Kirby Superstar made. First of all, while every other Kirby game I've played up to this point felt fine, none of them felt like a modern Kirby game. There was just something off about them. But Superstar feels so smooth, this was definitely the standard that all future Kirby games would have to strive to achieve. The second thing I wanted to point out were the changes to the copy abilities. Now, instead of just changing the color of Kirby and giving him some sort of weapon, they made each copy ability have its own unique look to it, really making them feel different from one another. And on top of that, they actually fleshed each ability out completely. It's no longer just the fire ability where Kirby breathes fire. Now it's the fire ability where Kirby breathes fire, which he can aim up or down towards his enemies, become a fireball that is completely invulnerable while traveling, or become a flaming wheel so that he may come down on the enemies and engulf them in flames. These new mechanics, mixed with a new look of the copy abilities, makes them so much more fun to play around with, and adds a million new ways to get through areas or fight bosses. Okay, so that's a pretty major change to the Kirby series thus far. You'd expect that to be all that Nintendo would be willing to try with a new first-party title. But oh no, there's one more pretty major addition. Kirby can now give up his current copy ability and turn what used to be an evil little minion into a helpful teammate. Look out, Kirby Star allies, Superstar is right on your tail with all your new features. These little guys have their own health bar, and will do their best to protect Kirby to the very end. Goodbye, little friend. Nothing could ever replace you. Just kidding, they're super disposable. And if you ever have a friend who wants to join you, this game even has local multiplayer. They just take over your ability buddy and boom, now you and your friends can play Superstar together. Maybe someday, I can use this feature. Alright, so after Spring Breeze we have Gourmet Race? Are you telling me that Superstar is the game that spawned one of the greatest video game songs of all time? My god, we're only at 2 out of 8 games and this already deserves to be Game of the Year. Kirby Superstar, Game of the Year 2018. Yeah, I'm sure that'll be fine. Gourmet Race is a pretty simple game overall. You have 3 different courses where you can race from point A to point B to try to get the best possible time, or you can do the Grand Prix, where you have to race King Dedede. But not only do you have to get to the finish line on these 3 courses before he does, you also have to do so while eating more food than him. Hence the name Gourmet Race. Nothing's too difficult here, but it's a fun little game to waste time with, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. What's next? Ah, Dynablade. This mode actually goes back to the traditional Kirby format yet again, except now we have a small overworld. We have to get through each level as we make our way to Dynablade herself. Yes! I finally beat her. Now Kirby can be free from tyranny. Oh, it had babies. Well, nothing we can do would push them off this cliff. Just kidding, of course. Kirby raises the birds as his own and sends them on their way. I swear, this game is so strange sometimes. Number 4. Okay, we have the Great Cave Offensive. And honestly, this was my least favorite game mode to complete. This one consists of running around an open world, collecting 60 different treasures. Now I have to admit, the treasures themselves are pretty awesome. there are a ton of references to anything from Mario to Earthbound. The bosses in this game mode are also pretty awesome, but it can be really time consuming to get to them. Or maybe I'm just bad at the game. Either way. Next is Revenge of Meta Knight, and this one is basically one really long level. Kirby must try to save Dreamland from Meta Knight, who is trying to take it over with the halberd. This is just more typical Kirby gameplay, but the part that sets this mode apart from the rest is that Meta Knight and a few of his goons all have really interesting dialogue. This helps flesh out Meta Knight as a character so much, it's crazy. It almost makes you feel bad for him. Almost. This mode is worth playing for the story alone, and it ends with Kirby riding off into the sunset after destroying the halberd. Once again, this game is so weird. Alright, before going over the last main mode, let's go over the two sub-modes. We have Megaton Punch, where Kirby enters a contest to see who can put the biggest crack into the freaking planet. Don't you guys think this is a little bit dangerous considering you are on said planet? Also, if this represents how strong Kirby is, you do not want to mess with this little guy. Maybe in Smash 5, Kirby finally won't be useless. Come on, Sakurai, you make both the damn games. Use this as a reference for the pink fluff ball. The second subgame we have is known as Samurai Kirby, where Kirby competes in a duel to see who can cut their opponent down first. This is just a rehash of Quick Draw from Kirby's Adventure. Press A before your opponent can, pretty simple stuff. Although honestly, this game was much more difficult. On hard mode, in order to beat Meta Knight, you have to press A in about 1/10 of a second. It's kind of ridiculous, but hey, eventually I was able to beat it. Okay, we have one major game mode left, and that is Milky Way Wishes. The sun and moon are fighting each other, and of course, Kirby is the only one who can stop it. This mode is really interesting, honestly. Instead of Kirby inhaling enemies to take their abilities, he must find what are known as copy essences, and grab them. Now the downside to this is that he can't inhale enemies the way you normally would to get good abilities. But the upside is once you've collected an essence, you get that ability permanently, and you can even switch between them on the fly for whatever is best suited for the situation. This is the most adventure-esque mode there is in the game, and it's a super fun addition to the experience. That's it. That's all the game mode Superstar has to offer. I will see you guys later. Wait, is that? There's a boss rush mode? That's right, once you've completed the last of the 8 modes, a 9th mode unlocks. In this, you have to fight every single boss that you fought prior in the game, in a row, without dying. You have 5 Maxim tomatoes that you can use between fights, but that is it. I'll be honest, I've yet to beat this mode. It can be really difficult, but it's still a ton of fun, and really is for those hardcore fans who want to prove that they can do it. Also on a quick side note, is this where Brawl got the inspiration for its boss rush? It's almost exactly the same. Just something I noticed. Now I mean it this time, that is actually it for Superstar's game modes. They are all a ton of fun, and I can see why many consider it to be one of the greatest Kirby games ever made. There's one other thing I need to go over though, and that's Kirby's new copy abilities. Superstar added 12 new abilities to the game, which is amazing. However, I'm starting to feel that the ability showcase is much more work for something that people probably don't have a huge amount of interest in. Not to mention how much longer it makes the video. So at least for now, I'm going to shorten it to a listing of any new abilities right here, all with their beautiful icons. Hopefully that's enough for those of you who actually watched this far into the video, but if you really prefer I go back to the original ability showcase, just let me know in the comments below. Alright, thank you all so much for watching, I really appreciate the support, and I hope that you've all been enjoying the Year of Kirby. New video coming out next week, so look forward to that, and as always, have a wonderful rest of your day.